Hello and welcome to another out of spec guide video. Today behind me we have two Audi e-trons. This one's my personal car, and this one's the brand new Q8. So what we're going to go in today is kind of some buying advice. Should you go for the brand new Q8 e-tron, or should you maybe look into the used market like this guy and get a really good deal on a sweet, awesome car that I absolutely love. So we'll get into that right now.
All right, Alyssa, you've had this personal e-tron of yours as a 2019 Prestige model, I think,
Yep.
for over a year, right?
Yep, so this is the 2019 Prestige, like you said, first edition as well. So it's literally this guy, but the first one, first of the first. I've absolutely loved this car. I've had it for a year. I've done some modifications. The 2019 year does not come all blacked out, but the earlier or the later years do. So if that's a thing for you and you don't want to do what I did, then you can just look into that. But so far, I've totally enjoyed this car. I recommend it to anybody and everybody who's in the market that already has a car. So we'll get into that a little bit more of kind of the market and what people should be looking for when looking into a used car. But so far, I've enjoyed it. It's our dog hauler, and it's got many scratches, loves, bruises to prove it.
Nice. It's been used, it's been loved, it's been appreciated, and I think it really does look really nice with what you and Colton have done with the black optics package on it. It's pretty stealthy. Yeah,
and I will mention, some people might know, we did put the original wheels and tires on. So we usually have Martians on it, so it's fully blacked out. And the roof bars are usually on, but because we were doing comparison testing, we wanted to put it back to stock. And that's what we've done here. So these wheels are back on, and boy, let me tell you, they're so heavy. They are the heaviest wheels I've ever picked up, which explains just how inefficient this car is. But again, I've enjoyed every moment with it, and anybody I've recommended have loved it as well. So let's get into the reasons why I really like this car and why so many people have always asked me, Alyssa, why don't you get a Model Y? Well, let me show you why. So just sitting in this car, it is just completely comfortable. It's a bank vault. You can see here, actually, let me turn it on. Double pane glass. So this car is fully spec. There's one thing missing that it doesn't have, and I've just totally enjoyed it since day one. The massaging seats, just sitting, the sound system is completely amazing. The extra ambient light that this offers, this lighted up seatbelt buckles are just something that I never knew that I liked until I had them, and have really, really honestly and truly enjoyed this car. It is currently, and will probably always stay, the dog hauler. Just took it out on a hike, so excuse the messy towels, but this just kind of gives you guys an idea of the trunk space as those seats are actually up. And I've always just used it as the dog hauler, and it's worked great. It's completely comfortable, and totally recommend it to people. But there's also this new Q8 on market, and everybody's always like, yeah, Alyssa, are you gonna upgrade? Are you gonna upgrade to the new Q8? I won't quite answer that yet, but we can kind of get into the differences of the two. And right now, if you're just looking at them blankly from behind, there's no differences. There's some minor differences, like that one says e-tron on the bumper, which don't really care for that. And there's a couple more emblems or logo type stuff as well. This one does have dual charge port, of course, which you can spec in later models as well. So that's just something that I didn't get within my car. And then come around, as I'm probably making you guys dizzy on camera, the front end is completely different on these cars. You don't get the actual 3D badge like this one has. You get this LED or light up display here, and these all light up. And you know, I'm honestly not a fan of that, because I was kind of looking at it from a distance and I couldn't quite see the badge, which annoyed me. I was like, what? Not that I didn't know what it was, but it was just something like, I like this 3D look, but that's just, of course, my preferences. And then the bigger change is that they've changed this aero, whatever, I don't know, what do you call that, Max?
Skirts, I guess,
Okay.
basically, yeah.
Yeah. So they changed those and just little things, but really, honestly, overall, not much within the styling. But overall, with the different things that they have changed would be the battery size. This guy goes 60 miles further than my car, which is a significant amount. Is it significant enough? Not in my opinion, because this is just my around the town car, but for somebody else who's in the market, it's their only EV, yes, that'd be something that I would highly consider. And then there is something else, Max, do you remember what the other difference is? The suspension is different, the
driving.
driving.
Things about the driving. So the steering ratio is quicker on this new one, giving it more of that kind of boosted feel, basically.
Sport, yeah, it's a little bit sportier feeling. Anytime you turn the wheel, like it's very, very quick to turn. This one's a lot more floaty. I mean, I've already felt the difference, and I prefer the float versus the little lumpier.
Part of that comes down to they also made the bushings, I think, and the front in particular stiffer on this model. They're going to be even stiffer if people get that new SQ8 e-tron.
Yes.
But even this one seems sportier, and you were making a comment that you noticed that in all the modes, really. It seemed like it just universally a little bit less floaty on the new one.
Right, and I really wish that if you put it in that comfort mode that it would be just like this and have that same Audi butt movement. As you see them going down the road, you just see them going up and down. This guy does not do that as much, and it's just not as comfortable when it comes to all the bumps and undulations in the roads and stuff like that. So those are the two big differences, and overall, I don't know. I mean, styling wise, I still prefer my car. Max, I don't know if you have a preference of which one you think looks better.
You did a great job outlining the changes. They also did update the wheel design, so we can't one-for-one compare them because this is the black optics package.
Right.
But I will just say that on this specific car, I don't love these black Aero wheels. I think the your OE 2019 wheels look better, just in my opinion. They're not directly comparable, but people should know every wheel they get on the new e-tron is going to be updated in a different design from the older ones.
Right.
I will comment that actually, the flat Audi logo compared to the old three-dimensional one, I'm not the biggest fan of. The lit grille, though, I think is cool. It kind of matches what Volkswagen's doing on ID4 with the nicer trims, and the Audi Q4 e-tron as well. Yeah,
which, I mean, more lights make it better. I don't know.
Looks more futuristic, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe you like it, maybe you don't.
This car literally just looks like its sister car, which is the Q5, I believe. They look identical. The only way you'd really know is obviously the charge ports and then some badges.
And Alyssa, branding-wise, you commented, they've updated the Audi logo now in the B pillars. But this being called the Q8 e-tron, right? Yours has always been based off more of a Q5 size one. It's not like they changed that for here. Like
no.
The dimensions and the size are the same.
It's completely the same.
What do you think of that new name, Q8 e-tron?
I don't know where. I mean, so the Q8 is supposed to be like an extremely luxurious car, and that's what they're going for on top of the sporty. And so they named it a Q8 to try and get the luxury, but they didn't make it drive soft and luxurious, which doesn't make sense to me. And I guess people, when they buy Audis, they think that they want a more sportier car in their SUV. I'm not quite sure what they think is their buyer base, but I don't agree with that at all. I would want more of that comfort if I'm buying an Audi, and especially if I'm buying this is a fully spec'd out prestige first edition, just like this one, but of course this one's the 2019, then I would expect it to be able to float and pretty much be like a Rolls Royce, which Kyle has actually compared this to and says it drives pretty similar to a Rolls Royce when it comes to just driving over bumps. It's just so comfortable, and it's something that on paper both these cars, I mean, they're not that sexy. They're not that attractive. You compare them to other cars in the market, they're not really going to compare as much within the numbers. But I totally urge everybody, if you're interested in these cars, either models, both of them are on lots now. So go and take a test drive and experience them, and you'll understand what I'm saying about the whole experience of when you're sitting in the car, you just feel like it's a premium, luxurious experience. And it's just something I can't convey over camera here. It's something that you have to sit and experience yourself. and it'll blow your mind. It really will.
Absolutely. I do want to get into the interior of this new one too, just
Yes.
get your quick thoughts on that as
Sure.
well. It's largely similar,
Yeah,
very
let's go
familiar.
ahead and show
but,
everybody.
as we're doing that, I'll comment, for those of you who are towards the sportier, let's just say nerdier end of things, no excitement here in the drivetrain. Supposedly it's a bit torqueier. Total horsepower numbers are basically the same as yours, Alyssa.
Right.
For people who want to go quick, 0 to 60, 5.4 in this one, it's the same.
You're not going quick in
No.
in this car. But hopping in here, you will notice that the seat lining is different, which I really like, but this isn't different for all the models. This model year, or the Q8 e-tron at least, you can get this spec'd in a used pre-owned car with this stitching. But just interior-wise, we'll turn everything on. It's exactly the same. I mean, all of this stuff is exactly the same. Of course, I have the wood, which is different, but again, that's just a spec option. And the biggest difference is you'll notice that these have little notches right here, and so that creates more of that sporty driving. And this wheel is also, I believe it's smaller. Kyle prefers this wheel over mine, so he was like, "Oh, I want to switch this wheel and put it on yours." I'm like, "Okay, whatever."
But you know what funny thing Kyle mentioned to me that, and I think you can back this up, right? The shifters in yours for controlling how aggressive the rigid braking is are metal. This is plastic.
Yeah, these are plastic, which is interesting. I guess they needed to save some money. And then also these buttons are a little bit different, but all of this is the same. I was touching this and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of feels cheap." Then I realized
That's the gear shifter.
Yeah,
then,
it's
right?
the same in my car.
Oh, okay. They have
no difference.
made this faster and more performant. I think they did that on
Yes.
yours with 2020. So I don't think it's changed really for the new model year, but
No.
compared to, let's say someone wanted to buy the cheapest used 2019 one,
Yeah.
that'd be one difference between that and anything newer.
Yeah, the only thing that is new is that there's this different page here, which, I don't know, big whoop. That doesn't make me want to spend tens of $1,000s more to upgrade this car. So that kind of gets into my full opinion of this and what's all going on.
Yeah, let's get into whether you would upgrade or not. But first, let's talk about that pricing that we've touched on, right? So,
Yes.
Alyssa, how much was your e-tron if you had bought it new?
If I would have bought it new, in 2019, brand new, it would have been $84,400 roughly without taxes. So probably around the 80, like maybe 90-ish range is my guess. All said, it depends on where you live. Also, there wasn't as many tax credits then as well. So that's something to take in account, which you can actually
So the new
tack
one,
going on.
the one we're in today is, like we said, very similar spec to yours, Prestige, the launch edition. Back then with yours, they called it the Kronos edition or something like that. But this is $91,500. So accounting for, honestly, inflation in like the 4 or 5 years since then, pricing has not changed that much. And on your note of the tax credit, if people lease this, not if you buy it, if you lease it and you get a premium or premium plus with no options, an e-tron that's under 80 grand new, because they start at 75 grand, then you can sorry, this is a lot of numbers. 7,500 federal tax credit is kind of taken off your total lease payment.
Right.
It's like a, whatever they would call it, capitalized cost reduction, meaning lower monthly payments as long as you stay under 80 grand and you would qualify for getting the tax credit.
Right.
So that's something nice. Actually, you don't even have to qualify because it's a lease only. If you buy it, no tax credit no matter what, just because of how it's produced and the battery and all that.
Right,
so
exactly.
that's one small benefit. But Alyssa, if we think about this outside of the vacuum, the rest of the EV market has gotten so much cheaper since the first e-tron came out.
Yes, it's gotten cheaper, it's gotten better, it's gotten more tech, it's gotten more battery, it's gotten better range, better charging performance, which that also brings me to this car's charging performance, which is weaker than my car. My car sits at 150 from about 4 or 5% all the way up to 80%, and it just stays there. This car has more of a loop, and it is a bigger battery versus this one, and it does go a lot further, so you get that. But the charging performance is weaker, and that is actually due to the amount of cobalt that's in this. They put less cobalt in this battery versus mine. Mine has a ton, which I know is not environmentally friendly.
So trade-off of sustainability versus performance. That's fascinating to me, though, because just to get nerdy here for a brief second, right? Yours, I think, is a 90-something kilowatt-hour net usable one. This is 106 kilowatt-hour, substantially more. It's 114 kilowatt-hour gross. Interesting that it's using less cobalt. I guess that's cool for the sustainability angle. But it's weird because if you look at the numbers on the website, 170 kilowatt peak charge speed, that would make you think this one would charge quicker, but sounds like that curve is just not as legendary
goes up and then it goes down
as yours, which holds its charge speed the whole way through.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's why I've always didn't really care about the range in my car, because I knew every single time I got to a working charging station, we'll put that point, that I would be getting those charging speeds until 80%. And so I always knew how long I would really have to sit at a charger in order to leave to go either to the next one or just to go home. We don't do much road tripping with this, but I will say we bought it out in Connecticut and road tripped it all the way out and really had no issues. I mean, it was pretty similar to our 2019 Model 3 that we have right now. That charging has gone down as well, but this one holds a charging curve way better than that car. So
here's what's funny: the rated difference. You mentioned the 60-mile difference. This one's supposed to have like 280 miles on the EPA cycle. I think yours was just over 200, like 204. Yep. So you'd think that'd be really substantial, but I think you mentioned that 60 number. So it sounds like in the real world, the range difference isn't quite that massive.
Yes, so that's why they're always, EPA is EPA. I mean, you can't always really trust it within the cycles. There's just so many different ones. But if you do want to check out what the difference is, there is a video on our out-of-spec reviews that we'll link in the description below. I'm sure, actually, if it's out, we'll put it down below. If not, then keep an eye out for it. But yeah, the difference between these when we did the range test was about 60 miles, which really, I mean, I was really shocked at how far my car went, because I've mainly road tripped it in the winter, and in the winter it's terrible. It's really bad in the winter.
But it performs well, right? The Ski-tron, it hauls, it just doesn't haul for very long.
No, it doesn't. Can I make it from here to the mountains? So we're in Fort Collins right now, all the way to, I don't know, Vail or whatever. You can't do it on one charge. Don't even try. But on the way down, sure, yeah, you can, because you get all the regen and stuff, which is great. But it doesn't bother me to stop and charge, because, like I said, that charging curve is just stellar, and it's not long that I have to stay there, because if I just need a couple miles of range, then I just pop in and pop out and get to where I need to go. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and pop out and kind of maybe...
Let's finish this thing by figuring out, Alyssa, are you going to get the new one, or would you get the new one?
Yes.
And let's talk about the used situation for used ones
that
as
is
well.
Crazy. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. The used situation right now on Audi e-trons is just mind-blowing. It breaks my heart. Not really, because now all of the people that are watching can get the opportunity to really enjoy a car like this. Like I said, we bought this car for, I think, around $65,000 without taxes and fees. So whatever it was in the end, I think around 68. And now it's kind of worth around $40,000. So
that's optimistically, if you find an old beat up one that doesn't have a certified pre-owned warranty, I think you can get one of these for like mid 30 grand territory. Yeah,
you really can, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. Get something that has some kind of warranty, because I'll actually show you some issues that we've had. My car, I kid you not, just ended its break-in period. It still has the extended warranty, which does all the drivetrain stuff. But Max, if you can look in, you see where Blue has done his Picasso marks, but right there it's already bubbling. You'll see right here, I'll do it. Right here it's bubbling up, which is no fun, and they are not covering that anymore. So, and this dash, which is outrageous, you can't just replace that one piece. It's a whole piece. And with parts and labors, I think they quoted us around $65,000. Or no, $6,500, which is just, we're like, okay, because we looked into it once Blue did his little Picasso on there, and it's not happening, and now that happens. So
one downside to consider, whether old or new e-tron, for those shopping for this car hauling dogs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're going to get that with any car. It's just kind of the risk worth that.
But especially in a luxury car, I feel like an ID4 interior, okay, it won't feel as nice, but some of those cars will just be more durable, rugged. Of course, they'll feel cheaper, but they'll also be cheaper to replace.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what you get with any kind of German car. Then one piece is a whole piece, and it costs thousands of dollars. So, but getting back to the used market, I mean, it's just a complete steal. And what year I would kind of recommend. I was going back and forth with Kyle on it, and he was like, yeah, I don't really think it matters what year you get. I mean, ours is a 2019. We've had actually really no issues with it. The only other issue is, which is a common issue with these cars, is that it leaks interior whenever I go through a car wash, and that's just because I think of the sunroof seals that they just have to flush out, which that's actually covered under warranty, so we're fine there. But other than that, when you're looking for this car in the used market, only get Prestige. I mean, I don't think within the price differences, it's anything, like maybe $500 to $1,000. Don't direct quote me, but it is not expensive to go for that Prestige trim, and you get the massaging seats, which is just in the double pane windows.
Someone wants to check out the new e-tron.
It is the dog hauler. The used market, sorry, got distracted by dogs per usual. And it doesn't matter what year, it does matter what trim. Go for the better trim, go for the Prestige. You're not ever going to complain about it, ever. But between the two, would I upgrade from my car to the Q8 e-tron? Personally, no. But that's due to several different things. Do I care about range? No, it doesn't bother me. I mean, this is not my only car in the driveway, and I'm very, very fortunate for that. And if you're looking for like an only car option and you have the money, I would definitely go for the new Q8, because you get the better range. I mean, 60 miles is pretty significant, or whatever else that they quoted. Depends on where you're going. I mean, it's always different, but roughly the bigger battery, the better overall longevity is. You'll get that within this car. But personally, I wouldn't upgrade, because those things don't really matter to me, and my car is more comfortable. I think the sound system's a little bit better, but the Audi engineers have totally been, no, there's absolutely no difference in the sound systems. We've checked all this stuff, but I don't know. Maybe it's just a break-in period of the speakers, but mine does sound a little bit better. But just overall styling-wise, I do still prefer this styling over this. But if you're in the market for these cars and you want to buy, I mean, if you have the money, of course, like, why not get the new one? Why would you go for somebody's used vehicle? But if you're looking for, I don't know, something for your wife to haul around her kids, and you want her to be in something nice and comfortable, and screaming kids in the back, but you can have your massaging seat on and great sound system, yeah, go for this. I mean, it's just so cheap right now. You can't go wrong with it. But all in all, yeah, I'm keeping my car. I don't want this one. If I'm going to upgrade it, I will be upgrading it to the Lotus Electra.
Oh, people can check that video out on Aspect Reviews. You really enjoyed that car.
I really enjoyed that car.
This one is so similar, and I feel like it's worth mentioning. It may sound obvious, but you know, even if you can't afford, if you're in the position to get yourself the new one, do consider that it being so similar to this e-tron that you have, Alyssa, depreciation on this new one is probably not going to be pretty.
Yeah, it'll pretty much, it'll plummet. But any car does. As soon as you drive a new car off the lot, it loses so much value. But when it comes to like just other cars in the market for the pricing that you're getting for this car, it makes absolutely no sense to get this. I mean, you can get an iX with 10 times more range, the same amount of comfort. Would I still prefer this car over the iX? Yes. But when it comes to just the practicality and the logistics behind everything, that car is leaps and bounds better when it comes to just technology and charging and range.
Yeah. What you were saying on paper, right? Like the BMW iX would kind of kill this in some ways.
Yep.
Larger size class of vehicles, not directly comparable, like the Rivian R1S, do give a
Yeah.
lot more. But if, admittedly, you know, you mentioned all the nice luxury premium things that the e-tron gives you.
Right.
Those are still a unique calling card. And for the people who are going to comment, why not a Model Y? Why not a Mach-E?
Well,
This is a different class of car.
Just test drive them
Yeah.
back to back, and
You'll
you'll
see the
understand
difference.
why.
Yeah.
All are great cars. I mean, you won't go wrong with any of them really. But overall, these cars they're luxury cars. Point blank, they're luxury German cars that are built very, very well. There's no creaks, there's no rattles. We've had this car for a year. It's a 2019, and there's no rattles, there's no creaks, there's no nothing. It's just you sit in it, you're in a bank vault, and you're comfortable. But there's just so many cars on the market, so if you're looking at the practicality side of it, then of course you should definitely shop around. But
BMW iX, like you mentioned, would be a great one for the buyers who aren't specifically connected with the great things we mentioned about this car.
Yeah.
That's on the numbers as a luxury SUV, probably going to give you more range and efficiency and things like that.
And then there's also Mercedes as well, which those are great. They're terribly ugly.
You don't save money either, Alyssa.
No.
We just had the EQ, a really nice spec EQE, and the takeaway, I was surprised because I was expecting to say, oh, the old e-tron, because it's little, fewer changes, the new Mercedes is going to blow it away. And what I was astonished looking at the price factoring in is that Mercedes was several $1,000s more expensive.
And that one wasn't fully spec'd out either.
And it wasn't even fully spec'd.
No. Yeah. So Mercedes has a whole different, I don't know what they're doing there, but not to go on a tangent with them. They're really great cars. They perform well. Their driver assistance is amazing, which in these cars is great too. It's kind of a get-by driver's assistant. It's not something like totally autonomous.
It's not Super Cruise. It's not the Mercedes Level 3, whatever system.
Right, yeah. It's nothing like that, but it's definitely, it's comfortable. It expands your road trip experience. It makes it a little bit better being able to use it. I've never had a gripe with it. It handles pretty well. But overall, just to really sum things up, as I haven't said it again, I will be keeping this car. I love my car. I'm not a person to trade in cars like some people that we know. And so this girl, her name's Angela, by the way, she'll be staying in the family regardless to whether I get a new car or anything, just because we've lost so much money on it, so there's no point in trading it in, and it's so comfortable. And so yeah, that pretty much sums up the video. There's a lot to, of course, talk about within the market in comparing different cars, but when comparing used versus new, there really just isn't much of a difference. There's the range, and then also the driving portion of it, but the comfort in the driving is so much better within this. And so in my opinion, the only good difference is the range.
Yeah, if people want sportier, I'll just direct them. Look at we don't have it, on test, but the SQ8 e-tron is the properly sporty one. This just feels like interesting middle ground that they chose to make it sportier, when it sounds like you're so happy with the balance they had from day one on that.
Yeah, it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I think Kyle actually has a video with the Sportback sporty one on reviews if you guys want to check that out. But yeah, overall, that's pretty much my opinion on things. Take it or leave it. So we'll see you guys soon on another one. Bye-bye.